It's because you hate you first. You don't respect the guy looking back in the mirror, and now you're projecting outwards. So you constantly go out rather than looking in. The minute you take a minute to stand in the mirror and ask yourself some pretty hard questions, you'll start seeing exactly where you personally are dropping the ball. The greatness of that is that you get to take responsibility for it, to own that shit, and then ultimately craft who you want to be off the back end. Yo, what's happening, guys? Welcome back to the Battle Ready Show. Hope you guys are doing well. My name is Byron Ovenstone, the host of said show. Guys, today I wanted to hit it from a slightly different angle. I wanted to pose a question to you guys before I kind of deep dive into anything. How many of you truly know the outcome that you want out of this game called life? How many of you got such a clear vision on what you want that you know exactly what you're going to do to get to that ultimate endpoint? Like, have you crafted that vision and had it so clear that you've been able to reverse engineer it and almost create daily non-negotiable tasks that'll ultimately get you that result? If not, pay attention, I'll tell you how. Byron 1.0. Guy had zero idea what he wanted out of this game called life. Just drifting. Knew he wanted to make more money, wanted to be famous, wanted to be known, all that good stuff. Wanted the car, the girl, the house, ticked all those boxes, right? But had zero clue in terms of why he wanted them, how he was going to acquire them, and kind of just went through this game called life with blinkers on and a blindfold and just constantly bumping into things. The problem that happened there, or the problem with that, is that you get to a point where nothing fulfills you, nothing is satisfying, and you start feeling like Groundhog Day, or to a point where you're on a hamster wheel and you're just running, but there's no outcome and nothing satisfies you. You get the car and you're still empty. You get the penthouse and you're still empty. You have virtual golf in your fucking living room with a cinema room and you're still empty. How does this even happen? Like, I got to a point where I'm like, dude, you're making money. You're supposed to be happy. And the issue with this is that it gets to a situation where you start questioning yourself, like, am I broken? Am I fucked up? Am I a mess? Is this what this game called life is for me? Am I always going to be miserable, depressed, anxious, and start having those like suicidal thoughts, etc.? You're better than that. And the reason you are feeling all of those things is because you have no real purpose. You haven't crystallized your vision. You haven't figured out what your mission is. And you're at a point in this life where it's kind of punching you in the face a few times and saying, hey man, you're on the wrong path. And it's trying to redirect you. And if you pay attention to the signs, you'll see that you're trying, like, life is this weird thing where it's got these guide rails and it's constantly trying to redirect you and bring you back onto what you should be doing. But we're so fucking pig-headed and so stupid that we fight it by giving into vices, giving into immediate gratification, which ultimately pulls us further away from what we're looking to achieve. I did this through working 18-hour days and wearing it like a badge of honor. Like, hey man, I'm so successful because I work 18 hours a day. No, I was shit at my job. That's why I had to work 18-hour days. I was over-caffeinated, most times hungover, fueled with a bunch of garbage, which is why I was fat as fuck and slower on the uptake than I should have been. And once I started cleaning up my act and getting healthier, fitter, stronger, and really directing in what I wanted to achieve out of this game called life, holy shit, I didn't need 18 hours a day to do my job. I could do it in 12 or 8 like everyone else. But because I wore it like a badge of honor, and in reality, I was escaping my real world through working, gaming, caffeine, alcohol, etc., I was working 18 hours a day to avoid going home. And then when I did go home, I would sit in the driveway and I'd stare at my front door for a couple hours. Why? Because I didn't want to go upstairs and meet my then fiance, who I was in a loveless relationship with for 5 or so years, and just wasn't vibing with, didn't enjoy each other's company. It was just not an enjoyable place to be. So we get to a point where it's like, fuck man, I don't want to be at home. So I'm going to hide out at work. When I'm not at work, I'm going to drink, I'm going to game. I'm going to just not deal with this game called life as much as possible, but I'm going to mask it by pretending to be successful because I got a cool car, I've got a nice house, or I've got a nice penthouse, or I've got the cinema room, etc. And you're flexing and you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm on it. But then if you're so on it, why do you hate who you are? Why do you hate who you're becoming? And I wish I could give credit to the person that I heard this podcast on. I just don't know who it was, but someone on some podcast somewhere had a conversation with someone one day where they're like, hey man, if you're not the version of you that the 7-year-old you would be proud of, what exactly are you doing in this game called life? And that to me was a pretty sombering moment where I actually took a second to think about it. And I was like, dude, would the 7-year-old me be excited to be here? A loveless relationship, drinking way too much, over-caffeinated, hiding from his responsibilities. Yeah, he makes money, so what? Yeah, he's got a cool car, so what? The dude hates himself, so much so that he eats himself to death. He's got high blood pressure, liver issues, kidney issues, heart conditions, and he's literally thinking about offing himself, like 47 floors up, looking down, going, maybe I should do a backflip. Not exactly the most exciting life a 7-year-old would go, hey man, I really want to be that guy, right? So it got to a point where I'm like, dude, start doing something about it. But I didn't have the minerals, but more importantly, I didn't actually know what to do. So it was a case of like, okay, I know I'm good. I know I'm made for more than this, but how do I go about crafting that? What do I need to do in this process? And kind of sat on it for ages, didn't do anything, because for me, it was like analysis paralysis. Oh, well, maybe I want a supercar. Maybe I want a private jet. Maybe I want this. Maybe I want that. Maybe I just want to be happy. Oh, fuck. What does happiness actually look like for me? How would I even go about crafting that? How would I even know what that looked like for me? Because I hadn't been happy since the last time I stepped foot on a sports field. Like truly happy, where I felt like I belonged and where I felt like I knew who the fuck I was. And the moment that shit was taken away from me and I was no longer able to step foot on a field and actually make an impact and get paid to be there and command that environment, my entire identity was stripped from me. So I didn't even know who I was. I was just this ghost that was just like floating around, ticking boxes and doing what I thought successful people did. But I had no purpose, no pleasure. I had no idea what my vision was. And in all honesty, I had zero in the way of core values either. I just did whatever anyone told me to do that would pay me good money. So there's a whole lot of karmic debt that comes with that shit too. So you get to a point where you're like, man, I want to be happy, but how do I construct happy? What does happiness even look like for me? And I had to recreate that. And I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to go about it. So I just started focusing on me. I started paying more attention to what I enjoyed doing. I started doing stuff for me. I was so busy trying to make everyone else happy and make everyone else love me and like me that I constantly served everyone else at my own detriment. I would give people the shirt off my back in the hopes that they might show me some kind of affection, because I was so desperate for attention that even if it meant I was miserable on the inside, I would do it anyway just to get that little bit of recognition or that little bit of love, because I was starved of it once I left sport. So it was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go into this crafting me first. Like, who do I want to be? What does good look like from my perspective? First things first, man, you stand in the mirror and you look at yourself. I stood in the mirror naked and I was like, do I even like this guy? Do I even respect this guy? Would I even hire this guy? And I asked myself a bunch of questions, right, around all of those kind of topics. Unfortunately, the answer was no. And it was a very sobering moment at that point where it's like, dude, you don't even respect the guy looking back. You don't even love the guy looking back. You don't even like that guy. So why are you hoping that other people will like him? Why are you hoping other people will respect him? Why are you hoping that other people will love him? You got to respect and love and cherish yourself first. If you can't do that and you can't want to be around you, you're up shit creek. You're in a bad place. You need to figure that out and get that going first. So first things first, man, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, the best version of me is not an overweight 38% fat fuck. Like, he can't exist anymore. So I can't remember who said this. I think it might have been Greg Plitz at the time. He said, take a photo of you now and commit to never being that person again. And that's exactly what I did. I listened to one of his videos. I'm pretty sure it was Greg Plitt anyway. Took a photo of me, stuck it on the mirror. I'm never going to be that motherfucker again. I wrote on the back my weight, my height, my size, as many dimensions as I could take, body fat percentage, the works. Stuck it. Every day I woke up and I looked at that fat fuck and I said, I will never be you again. There is 0% chance I will ever be that fucking guy again. Okay, well, what are the habits that this fat fuck does every day? What are the habits that I need to eliminate? Because now we're crafting 2.0. Now we know, okay, what got me to where I was there? People pleasing, self-sacrifice, but not the right self-sacrifice. The sacrifice that made everyone else pretend to love me because I picked up the bill and I would pay for their drinks and I'll take them out to meals and they could be seen at my flat and come play virtual golf at my house and all that shit and chill in the cinema room. That's not real love. That's just conditional. Hey man, you want to come to my cinema room, so yeah, you're going to be nice to me and come on over. Not the real shit. So it's like, okay, what are the things that are killing my 2.0 version of me? Alcohol. Absolutely. I'm robbing myself of tomorrow. The energy that I take and I drink is I'm just hijacking that from tomorrow and I'm placing it in today. And then tomorrow I wake up, I feel like shit, I perform like shit, and I'm just an absolute waste of a human being. And that cycle continues. Cool. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm not going to eliminate it forever and be that guy that's like, I'm never touching alcohol again. I think that's unrealistic. I just knew that alcohol didn't serve me. So I'm not going to do stuff that doesn't serve me. Cool. Kill the alcohol. 18 to 24 cups of coffee a day. Do you know how fucked up you can get on that much caffeine? Do you know how bad that shit is for your heart, your liver, your kidneys, and everything else? Cool, we're going to start eliminating caffeine. No one should be drinking 24 cups of caffeine a day. Cool, start killing the caffeine. I'm going to start working out with intention because, again, version 2.0 and beyond of me is not a 38% fat fuck. He's lean, he's diced, he's in the best condition that he can possibly be. So then I started making some commitment statements to myself. By the end of the year, I'm going to be the best mental and physical shape of my life. What does that look like? Okay, it looks like X, Y, Z. Perfect. Now I know that by the end of 2019 at the time, I had to be single-digit body fat percentages and basically killing all of the vices and all of the stuff that was distracting me from becoming 2.0. Perfect. Now I know exactly what I need to do every single day because I have 365 days to make that happen. Every single day I have to do X, Y, Z. And that's how you craft your vision. That's how you craft your purpose. That's how you craft your vision. Oh, your mission, sorry. You've got to get to a point where you're so clear on what that outcome is that you're shooting for that you can then reverse it into daily non-negotiable actions, daily things that you do that ultimately move you one step closer every single day. What most people get wrong is they overcommit to the process. They get to a point where they're like, okay, I'm 80 pounds, 100 pounds overweight. This time next month, I'm going to be 100 pounds less. No, you're not. You know it. I know it. It's just not possible. You can't do that. I went from nearly 300 pounds down to like 180, and I turned up in November for the project, and I was lean, diced, looked pretty good with my shirt off. 180 pounds, felt like a boy in a man's world. I'm not going to lie. When I turned up, I was sitting on one of these tickers right here. I think it was actually this one there. I stood there or there. And like Ray came in the room, Bedros came in the room, Steve came in the room, and I'm like, fuck. These are some big guys. These are some jacked up dudes, 220 kind of pounds. I'm 180, like, okay, I need to get bigger, I need to get stronger, I need to occupy more space. And that's when the vision then crafted and changed slightly. And it's like, okay, cool, 180 is no longer good enough. I'm a boy in a man's world, now I want to be a man in a man's world. And you recreate that. So the vision's not cast in stone, it's a moving ball. But what you got to do, and what you get to the point of, is where you actually know what that win is that you're shooting for. Because like Byron 1.0, he was just looking for the instant gratification. What made me feel alive today? What gave me purpose today? The shit that gives you purpose today and the shit that makes you feel alive today is not the stuff that you should be investing in. That's the strip clubs, the Pornhub, the alcohol, the caffeine, the gaming. All of that stuff is the distraction. It gives you that immediate dopamine hit. It's that, oh, I feel good now. But what does it do for you in the future? What does it do? How does it progress you from today to tomorrow? And I have this conversation with my son on a regular basis because he's all about like gaming and stuff. And I'm like, hey man, that's cool. Play your games. But like 20 minutes of gaming is 20 minutes of learning. Like learn for 20 minutes, really move the needle on something that you want to get better at. And then by all means, play 20 minutes of games. Earn the right to play that game. Don't do what Byron 1.0 did, where, yeah, I made a lot of money and I justified to myself like, hey man, yeah, you make money so you can play games. When in actual fact, that was just an excuse to escape. Like, don't live in that game. use it as an opportunity to kind of rest, recover, recuperate or whatever, that's fine, that's healthy. But when it becomes an escape and it becomes what holds you back, now you're in a whole nother ball game. Now you're playing a different game, and that's problematic. So ultimately, get to a point where you know who you want to be, because every single day that you're incongruent with that version of you, you're miserable, you're depressed, you're anxious, you're fucking angry. I woke up angry every single day, like borderline pissed off at the world, wanting to burn it to its fucking core. Why? Because I was unfulfilled. I was drifting through this game called life. I had no idea why the fuck I was here. Like every single day was the same. I would wake up at 4 o'clock, go to the gym, pretend to work out for an hour, still stay fat, but I was at the gym. Then I would go to the office for 6:30, 6:45. I would do a full fucking day there. I'd eat a handful of pizzas because there was a pizza joint downstairs and it was the easiest thing to just get sent up to my office. So I'd get a couple pizzas a day, stay fat, justify the fact that I was eating pizza because I worked out that morning. And then by the time the end of the day came, 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, whatever the time was that I decided to finish work that day, go home, sit out the driveway, stare at a front door for a bit and go, maybe I should get in the elevator and go up. Now I'm going to stick it out here for a minute. And then scroll Instagram or something stupid to kill more time. And then be like, oh shit, it's midnight. Okay, she's definitely going to be asleep now. Cool. Go upstairs. If she wasn't asleep, go straight into my office and hide behind a computer screen and play some games. Or if she was, go to bed, wake up at 4 o'clock the next morning, rinse, repeat. It's not living, that's existing. No wonder you're depressed, anxious, suicidal, all of that shit. So you get to a point where you're like, man, I want more out of this game called life, but then know what that more is. Most of us don't take the time to do the inner work. Most of us don't take the time to actually look and go, why do I not like who I am right now? Why do I not like this life that I'm living right now? And what can I do about it? Because we created the life we have now. I don't know if any of you know that, but you created exactly where you are right now. There's very few people in this world who are put into a circumstance that they didn't create on their own. Unless you're in like a third world country or some shit like that. But if you're privileged enough to watch this shit, there's a high probability you're in a first world country. You've got all the opportunities under the sun. And if you don't like who you are, it's because you created that. The beauty in that is that you have the opportunity to create that new version of you. You have the opportunity to dig fucking deeper, do the hard work, do the work of looking in the mirror and liking who you see or not. And then if not, create who you want to see in that mirror. And then like Wes Watson says on a regular basis, create the man you want to see or you wish you had and then present him to the world. It's a pretty good analogy and it's pretty powerful shit because most people don't do that. They give a lesser version of themselves to the world and then they wonder why they're miserable. They wonder why they're not successful. They wonder why they feel unfulfilled, why they're angry, why they like so hot off the switch, like blowing up over the littlest of things. It's because you hate you first. You don't respect the guy looking back in the mirror, and now you're projecting outwards. So you constantly go out rather than looking in. The minute you take a minute to stand in the mirror and ask yourself some pretty hard questions, you'll start seeing exactly where you personally are dropping the ball. The greatness of that is that you get to take responsibility for it, to own that shit, and then ultimately craft who you want to be off the back end. So take the time, sit down in a quiet place. This doesn't happen overnight either. Don't think, oh, I'm just going to craft my vision today and it's done for life. Like I did this every single day in 2019. I wrote a gratitude list of 10 to 15 things I was grateful for every single day. And I split the page into a giant T. So it was like a giant T. I wrote my goals at the top, bottom left. I wrote my gratitude, bottom right. I then wrote how I performed that day, like an actual journal of the day. I did this from this time to this time. I felt like this. I ate this. I felt like that. I did this and I felt like that. Did this serve me or did this take me further away from that 2.0 version of who I want to be? And you become a fucking student of your own game and your own life. And the minute you start doing that, you can then go, okay, these 5 things that I did today took me further away from that 2.0 version that I crafted up at the top of the page on that vision and the goals that I wanted. Shit, I probably shouldn't do more of that. That's taking me further away. I'm going to recreate that tomorrow. I'm going to be 1% better tomorrow, and I'm not going to make those same mistakes. Most people live their life in quiet desperation because they make the same mistake over and over every single day, and they do nothing to course correct. And then they wonder why they're angry. It's because you're pissed at you. You're not doing anything to make yourself better. You're not doing anything to make yourself healthier, fitter, stronger. You cannot be the best version of you. And I challenge any of you watching this right now to prove me wrong. But not a single one of you envision the best version of you and envision them at 38% body fat, 300 pounds, 5'10", fat fuck. Not possible. The best version of you is healthy, fit, strong. Every time. No one visions themselves as a fat prick and goes, yep, that would be the best version of me. Not a single person. Not as long as God made little green apples. Not happening. So, quit bullshitting yourself and pretending like you're happy with where you are. If you are Byron 1.0, nearly 300 pounds, 5'10", 30 to 40% body fat, you're not happy, you don't like you, and that's a fact. So do something about it. Stop pretending like you do. And when you pretend like you do, you're incongruent, which is why you're resorting to the vices. I had to drink myself confidence. Why? Because I had none. So it's called liquid courage for a reason. I'll drink myself confidence, and then I could go out to a place and I could be like, oh, now I'm confident enough to talk to people. Why don't you just be confident enough sober? Why don't you just do the work to walk into a room and be proud of who the fuck walks in and how you show up? Much better. Much better place to be. And ultimately, you're now not renting confidence from the car, the house, the cinema room, the alcohol. You can just turn up and be you and be proud of it in the process. So I challenge every single one of you. If you don't know what your crystal clear vision is, start crafting it. Because once you've crafted it and you know what it is and you work on it every single day, the beauty of that is that you can create your mission, you can create your purpose, your daily non-negotiables, and you start identifying things like what you need to eliminate, what you need to automate, what you need to delegate. And then funnily enough, this shit all bleeds into business as well. You want to be a better businessman? Figure out what your business is going to look like, automate, delegate, etc. So, starts with you, starts with the person looking back in the mirror, craft that vision, get crystal clear, and then commit. Hey man, would the best version of me do this every single day? If not, don't fucking do it. It's pretty simple shit. Don't fucking do it. Do the shit that the best version of you would do. Commit to that every fucking day. And before you know it, you're shutting down your consulting firm. You're moving to the US with a suitcase to start again. And you're not giving a fuck about what everyone else has to say. Why? Because you're so confident with the guy looking back in the mirror that you know it's going to be okay. That you know that you can fix it. That you can be whoever you want to be. You can give up the cars, the house. You can give up the $30,000 engagement ring. You can give up the fiance and just go, here you go. You can have these 4 bank accounts. I'm going to take 1 bank account and a suitcase and I'm going to start again. And know that everything's going to be okay. That kind of confidence can't be bought, can't be rented. That confidence is earned. And it's earned by having a crystal clear fucking vision on who you are, living congruent with that vision, and then actioning every single fucking day. I hope you guys liked today's episode. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.